Hey everyone, Kelly here. Thanks for joining me. I am back with a new layout for Hip Kit Club. And for my layout today, I wanted to showcase the awesome Project Life cards that are included in the October 2016 kits. So I thought a grid design layout would be a perfect way to showcase these cards. So I've grabbed numerous cards and I am trimming them down to 3.5 by 3. And I am going to have 3 rows of 2. So there will be 6 cards on my layout total. So I'm going to be pairing these Project Life cards with 4 photos that were taken last year during our leaf cleanup process. And my theme this week is fall, so the photos fit great with these cards since the cards are fall themed. And there's a little bit of a story with these photos. My son has always loved playing in the leaves. Ever since he was little, he loved running from across the yard and jumping into a big pile of leaves. But last year was the first year that we had him help us with the actual cleanup process. So raking the leaves onto a blanket and then carrying them up to the curb. We live in town, and in the city that we live in, we have curbside cleanup. So we just have to rake the leaves, take them to the curb, and then the city comes by and picks the leaves up for us. So it was just so funny. 3 out of the 4 photos, he's having a great time. He's jumping into the leaves. He's doing all different kinds of stunt moves. And then the 4th photo, I happened to capture his face as we were carrying the leaves up to the curb. And it was just hilarious. He was a good sport about it and he was a great help, but it was just so funny. You can just tell by the look on his face that he's a little shocked that it's not all fun this year, that he has to help a little bit with the work. So I was happy that I happened to capture that photo of his facial expression, and it just will fit great with the theme and the story that I have for these photos. So getting back to the layout, I have trimmed down the Project Life cards to the size that I want them to be. Now I am just trying to figure out how I want to embellish the cards. I do bring in multiple embellishments from the We Are Memory Keepers Honey I'm Home collection. I use multiple pieces from the ephemera pack, and then I am going to use that wood veneer frame on one of the photos also. The only embellishment that I knew that I wanted to use was one of the rubber charms from Pink Fresh Studio, and it says work, play, rest. And I thought it would pair nicely with the photo that I have of my son where he has the look on his face as he's carrying the leaves up to the curb. I just thought it was great, and it kind of enhanced the story behind the photos that I'm using. So while I was looking at those Project Life cards, I was trying to figure out what paper I was going to use for my background. A majority of the cards are white, so I was worried that they would get lost on a white cardstock background, but I couldn't really find a pattern paper or a color cardstock from the cardstock kit that I wanted to use. So what I decided to do was I am going to create a wash on this textured white cardstock from American Crafts, and I am going to use the crushed coral textures that's included in the color kit this month and just paint on that white cardstock. I did mix it with a little bit of gesso, some white acrylic paint, and then I am bringing in this grapefruit creamies that was in the September kits last month just to add a little bit more color. I wanted to make sure that you could see the paint, but that it wasn't going to be distracting from the Project Life cards. So once I'm happy with the color, I am going to bring in a large brush and I am just going to paint all over this white cardstock background. I do leave a little bit of a white border on the left and the right hand side of the cardstock. And I am not one to waste product, so I use every bit of paint that I mix together. So I do add a couple different coats. And as I was looking at it, I thought that I wanted to add some splatters. So I come back in with this grapefruit creamies and I add some splatters, and then I thought it was a little bit too much. So I bring the brush back in and it kind of leaves a streak mixed in with that crushed coral textures, and I really liked how that looked. So I do add splatters a couple different times and then just using the same brush, just kind of streak it along with that crushed coral textures. All right, so my background is completely dry and it is a different day. Notice my change in outfit, and I am gonna start adhering these cards down. Now, one thing to keep in mind, anytime you add any type of mixed media to a background, to a cardstock, to a pattern paper, your tape runner adhesive doesn't work so well, or at least that has been my experience. So what I'm doing here is I am just tacking these down so I can kind of get final placement on the embellishments that I want to use. I know that I'm going to have to come back in with some stitching or with some liquid adhesive once I know that I have everything where I want it to be. Okay, so for the embellishments, I do bring in multiple pieces from the Dear Lizzie Saturday ephemera pack that is included in the main kit. And as I mentioned, I do bring in multiple pieces from the We Are Memory Keepers Honey I'm Home collection. I do bring in one of the chipboard arrows from the Simple Stories Posh collection. I'm going to add a few of the leaf cut files, and that is the same cut file that I used on my last process video, which does contain a Cricut Design Space tutorial. Now that rubber charm from Pink Fresh Studio had a blue border on the top of it, and the blue on the charm didn't really match the rest of the blues that I had going on in the layout. So I just took my scissors and cut that portion of the charm off. And I thought I was being really clever with that bottom left-hand Project Life card. I tucked in that ephemera piece that has the number 7 on it. My son was 7 years old when these photos were taken, so I thought it just helped add a little detail to the story behind the photos. So as I'm embellishing this layout, I am trying to keep it fairly symmetrical. I am working with visual triangles. If you look at the Project Life cards, I have the top right card has a focal image with some text on it. The middle left card has some text, and the bottom right hand card has some text on it. So you can see there's a visual triangle there. Same thing with the leaves. I have it on the top left, middle right, bottom left. And I am just working with clusters that way just to try to keep it evenly spaced, and I don't want one area to be heavier than another. So that's a great way to go about doing it when you are trying to work with a grid layout, especially if you are embellishing each part of the grid as I'm embellishing each Project Life card that's on the layout. So I shut the camera off and I adhered everything down with liquid adhesive, and I'm just adding that frame to that top left Project Life card. Now I am trying to find something to add next to that blue tag. I do add a sticker from the Simple Stories Posh collection, but I end up removing it and adding an ephemera piece from the We Are Memory Keepers Honey I'm Home collection. And as you can see, I added my journaling to that bottom left Project Life card using my We Are Memory Keepers typecast typewriter. I am going to add a leaf to that bottom right hand Project Life card. That was actually a leaf that was left over from my layout last week. I'm going to add the year to that top right hand Project Life card using these wood grain stickers from the We Are Memory Keepers Honey I'm Home collection. And that's pretty much going to wrap things up for this layout. I am going to leave you with some still shots. As you can see, I did add some enamel dots and some stitching to a few of the cards, the top right, middle left, bottom right, just for some added symmetry to the layout. I will be back again very, very soon with another layout and process video. As always, thank you so much for watching.